Lena Carrington had grown up in a world where doors opened before she even reached for them. As the only child of Senator Marshall Carrington, she never knew a day where someone didn't call her princess, darling, or ma'am. People had always smiled at her nonsense, accepted her tantrums as quirks, and excused every poor decision as youthful experimentation. Teachers forgave her, neighbors tolerated her, and her father's political status covered the rest. For 18 years, Lena lived inside a bubble padded with privilege and polished to sparkle. And as she strutted toward adulthood, she believed the bubble was permanent. But reality had a way of correcting illusions. The trouble began on a Friday night, the kind of night teenagers whisper about as unbeatable, unforgettable, and totally worth the risk. Lena had gone to a downtown party with a few friends who admired her confidence and envied her lifestyle. Their admiration emboldened her, and she played the part, laughing too loud, dancing too wildly, drinking far beyond her limit. Eventually, one of her friends had suggested taking her father's brand-new electric luxury SUV for a quick spin. Lena, ever eager to impress, seized the keys without hesitation. The drive turned into a reckless cruise through the city center. She squealed with excitement as the vehicle soared past speed limits, hugged corners too tightly, and ignored red lights that shone like warnings she did not bother to hear. Her friends cheered, phones held high to capture the chaos, unaware, or uncaring, of the pedestrians diving out of the way. When the police lights finally appeared behind them, Lena didn't slow down. She smirked and pushed the accelerator harder. "Relax," she said, tossing her hair. "They won't dare book the senator's daughter." But the officers did dare. After several blocks, Lena lost control and bumped a row of metal trash bins, scattering them across the road. The SUV lurched to a halt, and within seconds, officers surrounded the vehicle. Lena staggered out cursing, slurring, and pushing away the hands that tried to steady her. The officers recorded everything, from her refusal to cooperate to her attempt at name-dropping her father. She eventually spent the night in a holding cell, pacing and hissing insults at anyone who walked by. She demanded special treatment, a different mattress, an apology. None came. Her father arrived the next morning with a face tight enough to crack. He didn't scold her. He didn't hug her. He simply said, "The judge requested your presence on Monday. Be there. And behave." But Lena, still wrapped in her familiar cloak of entitlement, assumed the situation wasn't serious. She spent the weekend bragging to her friends about how Judge Rowan, a respected, sharp-tongued woman known for her blunt lectures, would surely go easy on her. She imagined the judge would smile, wave away the charges, and remind everyone that Lena was just a kid. What Lena did not know was that Judge Rowan had seen hundreds of privileged young adults with the same arrogance, the same disregard for responsibility, and the same assumption that consequences were optional. She had no patience left for it. Monday morning arrived faster than Lena expected. She dressed in a new beige blazer, hoping she looked professional enough to impress the courtroom. Her hair was styled sleek and straight, her makeup flawlessly applied, and her jewelry chosen with care. She wanted to appear mature, just mature enough to convince the judge that a small lecture would suffice. Senator Carrington accompanied her but kept his distance the moment they entered the courthouse. His expression remained unreadable, his posture rigid. He knew what awaited his daughter, but he also knew she needed to face it on her own. Lena strutted into the courtroom like it was a stage. A few people glanced her way, some curious, some unsurprised, but none looked intimidated. This annoyed her. She had always been the girl who commanded attention. The girl people whispered about. Now, the whispers carried judgment instead of admiration. She sat at the defendant's table, crossing her legs and examining her perfectly manicured nails. Her attorney, a man chosen by her father's office, whispered instructions, but Lena brushed him off. "I've got this," she whispered back. "It's just an old lady judge. I'll charm her." The lawyer blinked. "Lena, this isn't," but before he could finish, the courtroom doors opened, and Judge Rowan strode in wearing her traditional black robe and an expression that revealed nothing but purpose. Her presence alone compelled half the room to straighten in their seats. She settled behind the bench and scanned the room. When her gaze landed on Lena, there was no hint of warmth. The bailiff announced the case details. The list was long: reckless driving, endangerment, resisting detainment, disorderly conduct, and property damage. Lena rolled her eyes as each charge echoed through the courtroom. When prompted to stand, she did so lazily, as though forced from a nap. "Miss Carrington," Judge Rowan began, her voice sharp enough to carve stone, "you are facing serious charges. Do you understand the gravity of your actions that night?" Lena shrugged. Out a collective breath sucked inward from the audience. "I mean," she said, her tone dismissive, "no one got hurt, right? It's not a big deal." Judge Rowan's eyes narrowed slightly, a small but unmistakable warning. "Your behavior could have caused irreversible harm," she said slowly. "Your actions put lives at risk. That is a big deal." Lena scoffed and tossed her hair. "Look, Your Honor, I think we're all making a big fuss over nothing. I'm sure you've seen real criminals before. I'm not one of them." The room fell silent, the tension humming like an electric wire. Judge Rowan leaned forward. "Miss Carrington, do you believe being the daughter of a politician exempts you from the law?" Lena flashed a smirk. "I think it exempts me from unnecessary drama." Her attorney closed his eyes, mortified. Senator Carrington shifted in his seat, his jaw clenched. Judge Rowan remained calm, but a spark ignited behind her steady gaze. She had handled disrespect before, but Lena's arrogance carried a venomous edge, one that stemmed not only from youth but from a lifetime of unearned immunity. "Miss Carrington," the judge said, "I strongly advise you to speak with respect. This is a court of law." Now irritated, Lena lifted her chin defiantly. "I am speaking with respect. I don't know why everyone here is acting like I committed some horrible, unforgivable sin." She gestured dramatically around the courtroom. "Can we just get this over with? I have things to do." The judge stared at her for a long, quiet moment. A moment so still that Lena shifted uncomfortably for the first time. "Miss Carrington," Judge Rowan said at last, "your attitude is concerning. Your indifference is dangerous. And your disrespect is unacceptable." Lena rolled her eyes again, louder this time. "Whatever. Can you just give me the fine or community service or whatever and let me go?" Judge Rowan sat back in her chair. "Is that truly how you feel?" she asked. "Obviously," Lena replied with a dismissive laugh. "I mean, it's not like you're going to lock me up." The judge's expression didn't change, but something in the room did. Something subtle. Something heavy. Judge Rowan folded her hands atop her desk and took a breath. "Miss Carrington," she said evenly, "I was prepared to listen, to offer leniency, and to approach this case with flexibility. But your conduct in this courtroom has revealed a deeper issue, one far more concerning than reckless driving." Lena opened her mouth to interrupt, but the judge continued over her, voice firm, unwavering. "You do not understand responsibility. You do not understand consequences. And you appear convinced that rules simply do not apply to you." Lena scoffed loudly. "Oh, please, enough," Judge Rowan snapped, her voice ringing like a gavel strike. The room fell instantly silent. Even Lena froze. Judge Rowan's tone softened, but only slightly. "Your behavior today has made something abundantly clear. The lenient path will not serve you. Not this time." A ripple of surprise moved across the courtroom. Lena blinked, confusion replacing her earlier smugness. "Wait, what does that mean?" The judge met her eyes directly. "It means, Miss Carrington, that the consequences you've avoided your entire life are about to reach you. You will not walk out of this courtroom unchanged." Lena's breath hitched. For the first time, perhaps ever, the certainty of her invincibility wavered. Judge Rowan continued calmly, "Today marks the beginning of a lesson you should have learned years ago." Lena felt her stomach twist. She didn't know what the judge planned. But she finally understood something. For once, no one, no name, no position, no privilege, could shield her, and the judge had every intention of making sure she learned exactly what she deserved. Lena's pulse thumped in her ears as the judge's words sank in. The courtroom felt suddenly colder, the air heavier, as if the gravity of the moment pressed down on her shoulders. She swallowed hard and glanced over at her father, silently begging for reassurance. But Senator Carrington simply stared ahead, his jaw rigid and his expression unreadable. He wasn't going to save her, not this time. Judge Rowan shuffled a few papers, her movements slow and deliberate. The tension tightened with each second, and Lena felt her nerves fraying. When the judge finally spoke again, her tone had shifted into something clinical, like a surgeon preparing for a difficult operation. Miss Carrington, your behavior both on the night of the incident and here today demonstrates a profound lack of maturity and responsibility. You treat life as though it bends to your whims. You mock the seriousness of the law. You endanger others without remorse. Lena clenched her fists. I didn't endanger. You will not interrupt me again, Judge Rowan said crisply. The words were not loud, but they struck Lena with enough force to snap her mouth shut. Judge Rowan lifted her gaze to Lena's attorney. Counselor, have you advised your client on appropriate courtroom demeanor? The lawyer sighed, shoulders slumping. Your Honor, I've made every attempt. She does not listen to me. A few quiet chuckles rippled through the gallery. Lena's cheeks ignited with embarrassment. She shot a glare at the spectators, furious that anyone dared laugh. Judge Rowan remained unfazed. Very well. Then I will take it from here. Lena's stomach knotted further. The judge turned back to her. You appear to believe your actions have no consequences simply because you've avoided them in the past. You believe the law is an inconvenience, a trivial barrier between you and whatever you desire. That's not what I... Miss Carrington, the judge interrupted, raising an eyebrow. Your insistence on speaking out of turn only further illustrates my point. Lena's breath stuttered. She dropped her gaze, but the attitude simmering beneath her skin refused to die. She had never been spoken to like this. Never been challenged so directly. To her, it felt insulting, humiliating, and wildly unfair. Judge Rowan leaned back in her chair. Before I move forward with sentencing, I will give you one final opportunity to show me you understand the seriousness of your situation. Lena straightened slightly, hopeful. Finally, a chance to soften the judge up. Finally, a moment she could flip in her favor. I understand, she said quickly. I get it, okay? I'm sorry. Can we just move on? But the apology was hollow, rushed, and dripping with impatience. Judge Rowan didn't look convinced. What exactly are you sorry for, Miss Carrington? Lena blinked. For everything. For the whole situation. How specific, the judge said dryly. Try again. Lena exhaled sharply through her nose. I'm sorry I drove too fast. And that I got caught. Someone in the audience snorted. Lena whipped her head around, face blazing with outrage, but Judge Rowan didn't give her the chance to react. No, the judge said firmly. You are not sorry you got caught. You are sorry this inconvenienced you. There is a difference. Lena opened her mouth, ready to argue, but something inside her, some tiny remnant of self-preservation, stopped her. Judge Rowan continued, you nearly ran down a pedestrian. You damaged property. You endangered your passengers. You treated officers with contempt. And now, standing in this courtroom, you have the audacity to behave as though this is beneath you. The words hit Lena harder than she expected. Beneath you, for once, the statement didn't sound empowering. It sounded shameful. The judge paused to let the silence settle before speaking again. Miss Carrington, I am issuing a temporary revocation of your driving privileges effective immediately. Lena's mouth dropped open. What? You can't. I can, Judge Rowan said, her voice sharp as glass, and I have. Lena's breath hitched. Losing her driver's license felt like losing a piece of her independence and her image. She imagined her friends laughing at her, mocking her, calling her a child who needed to be chauffeured around. You can't do that, she burst out. Judge Rowan met her eyes without blinking. Name one reason I shouldn't. Lena floundered. Because I need my car. I need to drive to school, to places, you need to learn discipline, the judge corrected. Not drive. Lena swallowed her words, cheeks burning red. Judge Rowan glanced at the bailiff. Please record the temporary suspension. The bailiff nodded, and as for sentencing, the judge began. Lena tensed. This was it. The moment the judge decided her fate. Your Honor, the attorney interjected carefully. May we request community service as part of... No, Judge Rowan said simply. Not at this time. Lena's heart thumped painfully. No, she whispered. Judge Rowan focused on her. I will not hand you an easy sentence you can breeze through without introspection. Community service, fines, therapy, those may all come later. But you have demonstrated a deeper issue that cannot be solved with a checklist. Lena felt panic creep into her chest. What does that even mean? She pressed. It means, the judge answered calmly, that until you can demonstrate humility and respect, this case will not move forward. Lena blinked in disbelief. Demonstrate humility? How? The judge motioned toward a small wooden podium positioned beside the witness stand. By speaking honestly. By acknowledging who you hurt. By accepting responsibility. Stand there. Lena recoiled. Stand there and what? Give some emotional speech? A truthful one, Judge Rowan said. Or as close to truthful as you are capable of. Lena scoffed. This is ridiculous. You may comply, the judge said lightly, or I will hold you in contempt. Contempt, the word chilled Lena. She had seen enough courtroom dramas to know it wasn't something she wanted attached to her name. With a resentful glare, she pushed herself out of her seat and walked to the podium. Her heels clicked loudly across the floor. Every eye in the courtroom followed her, and each step felt more humiliating than the last. When she reached the podium, she gripped the sides tightly. Whenever you're ready, Judge Rowan said. Lena inhaled sharply. Fine. I'm sorry. Not enough, the judge replied smoothly. Lena's jaw tightened. I'm sorry for driving recklessly. Keep going. I'm sorry for yelling at the officers. And? Lena's eyes darted nervously across the room. Everyone was watching her, waiting. Her face burned, and for being disrespectful, she muttered. Disrespectful to whom? The judge pressed. To the officers, Lena mumbled, and? Lena hesitated. The truth hung in her throat like a stone. And to you, she finally forced out. Judge Rowan nodded slowly. Better. But tell me, do you understand why you were wrong? Lena's frustration boiled over. Yes. Because apparently everything I do is wrong. The judge's expression darkened. That is enough, Judge Rowan said. Your conduct remains defensive and dismissive. I see no genuine remorse. Therefore, Lena's stomach dropped. I am ordering a mandatory 30-day behavioral accountability program. Lena's heart plummeted. A what? It is a structured program designed to help individuals understand responsibility, consequences, and empathy, the judge explained. You will attend daily sessions, complete assignments, and meet all expectations laid out by the program director. You're sending me to therapy school? Lena spat. The judge ignored her tone. Senator Carrington, you will be informed of the details. Lena whipped around to her father. Dad, do something. But her father didn't rise. He didn't argue. He didn't speak, he only said, This is your doing, Lena. The 4 words felt like daggers. Lena turned back to the judge, desperation seeping into her voice. You can't force me into this. I can, Judge Rowan said calmly. And I will. This is insane. Lena burst out. You're ruining my life over one mistake. Judge Rowan's gaze hardened. Your lack of accountability is precisely why this is necessary. You call it one mistake. I call it a dangerous pattern. Lena shook her head angrily. I'm not going. Then I will hold you in contempt, the judge said simply. Lena froze. The judge continued, You may choose the 30-day program or you may choose jail time. Jail, the word echoed like a thunderclap. Lena's voice cracked. You wouldn't. I warned you earlier that you underestimated this courtroom, Judge Rowan replied. I do not bluff. Silence swallowed the room. Lena's bravado evaporated. Her eyes stung with tears she refused to let fall. She clenched the podium. Fine, she whispered hoarsely. I'll do it. Judge Rowan nodded firmly. Good. Perhaps this will be the moment you begin to see the world beyond yourself. Lena lowered her head, humiliated, frightened, and furious all at once. Her fate was sealed, a fate she couldn't charm, threaten, or manipulate her way out of, and for the first time in her life, Lena Carrington truly understood what it felt like to face consequences. The ride home after the hearing was painfully quiet. Lena sat rigidly in the back seat of her father's car, staring out the tinted window as the city streets blurred past. Each stoplight, each turn, each unfamiliar face outside seemed to mock her. Her mind replayed the judge's words over and over: 30-day behavioral accountability program, consequences, jail time, humility. She had never felt so powerless. And she hated it. Senator Carrington sat in the front passenger seat beside his driver, his posture stiff and formal. He didn't speak to Lena. He didn't even look back at her. The silence between them felt colder than any words he could have chosen. Finally, unable to bear it, Lena snapped, "So you're really okay with this?" Her father didn't turn around. "What I am okay with is you staying alive long enough to grow up." "Oh, come on," Lena scoffed. "You're acting like I killed someone." "You nearly did," he said sharply. Lena's retort died on her tongue. He continued, voice low but cutting, "I have shielded you from consequences for years, Lena. I have used my influence to protect you, justify you, excuse you. But what happened this time was different. You put lives at stake. And worse, you don't even care." "That's not true," she protested. "Isn't it?" he asked, glancing at her reflection in the rearview mirror. "Tell me, Lena. Would you have slowed down if no one had caught you? Would you be apologizing right now if that judge hadn't threatened jail?" Lena looked away, unable to answer. He sighed heavily. "I thought I was helping you by smoothing the path. But all I've done is make you believe you can never fall. And now you're falling, and you don't know how to land." Lena swallowed hard. The words hurt far more than she expected. When they reached home, a sprawling modern mansion on a quiet hill, Lena rushed to her room, slammed the door, and threw her blazer across the floor. She paced restlessly, fists clenching and unclenching. Her mind burned with anger. How dare that judge talk to me like I'm some delinquent? How dare my father stand there and do nothing? How dare everyone treat me like I'm the problem? She grabbed her phone and opened her group chat. "Lena, you guys won't believe what this judge is making me do." Maya, OMG, what happened? Lena, some stupid program for behavioral change. Lena, 30 days. Kayla, LOL WTF. Lena, literally treating me like I'm some criminal. Maya, can't your dad fix it? Lena, he won't. There was a pause. Kayla, wait, maybe you actually need it? Lena stared at the message, stunned. Lena, are you serious? Maya, I mean, you have been really extra lately. Kayla, maybe it'll help you chill a bit. Lena's vision blurred with angry tears. Lena, you are both fake. Don't text me again. She threw her phone onto her bed, rage and humiliation folding into each other like storm clouds. The next morning, she received an email containing the program details: start date, daily schedule, assigned mentor, expectations, consequences for noncompliance. It felt like reading prison instructions. The Behavioral Accountability Institute sat on the outskirts of town, a sleek but modest facility built near a public park. Not a jail, not a school, something in between. People from every background attended the program: troubled teens, young adults with anger problems, privileged kids like her, and people there as part of probation agreements. Lena recoiled at the thought of being surrounded by those people. On her first day, her father drove her there himself. The moment she stepped inside, Lena wrinkled her nose. The lobby walls were covered with motivational posters and quotes about responsibility, empathy, and personal growth. The air smelled faintly of lemon disinfectant. A receptionist greeted her. "Good morning. Lena Carrington?" Unfortunately, Lena muttered. The receptionist smiled knowingly. Your mentor is waiting for you in room 4. Her father squeezed her shoulder. Do your best, he said. Lena shrugged him off and walked down the hallway. Room 4 held a single man sitting at a round table, mid-40s, calm expression, dressed casually in a gray sweater and dark slacks. He stood as she entered. You must be Lena, he said warmly. I'm Jacob Wilson. I'll be working with you for the next month. Lena dropped into a seat without shaking his hand. Let's get this over with. Jacob smiled gently. I understand you're not thrilled to be here, understatement. But I'm not here to punish you, he continued. I'm here to guide you. This program isn't about breaking you down. It's about helping you understand what led you here and what needs to change. Lena rolled her eyes. Save the therapy talk. I don't need it. Jacob folded his hands. Tell me, why do you think Judge Rowan ordered you to attend this program? Because she hates me, Lena shot back. Jacob chuckled softly. Judges don't assign programs out of hatred. Then because she wanted to embarrass me. Or, he said calmly, because your actions showed a pattern of entitlement and recklessness. Lena's face reddened. So you're taking her side. I'm not taking sides, he said. I'm stating facts. Lena crossed her arms. Whatever. Jacob nodded thoughtfully, making a few notes on his clipboard. Our first session will be light. I want to get to know you. What do you enjoy doing? Anything that isn't this. Jacob smiled patiently. Besides that? Lena sighed dramatically. I don't know. Shopping. Going out. Hanging with friends. Why do you enjoy those things? He asked. Because they're fun, she snapped. Do they make you feel important? Lena stiffened. What's that supposed to mean? It's just a question, he said calmly. Sometimes people seek environments where they feel powerful or admired. It helps them avoid feeling small. Lena bristled. I don't feel small. Jacob nodded. Everyone feels small sometimes. She clenched her jaw, refusing to respond. Jacob flipped to another page. Another question, how do you think others see you? As someone people like to be around. Is that the truth, he asked gently, or the version you prefer? Lena faltered. He continued, your friends, do they tell you the truth? Or do they tell you what you want to hear? Lena's mind flashed to the group chat. You have been really extra lately, maybe you actually need it. Her stomach twisted. She snapped, my friends are loyal. They get me. Jacob tilted his head. Do you get them? Lena bit her tongue. Jacob set his notes aside. Lena, you're not a bad person. But you've been living in a protective shell built by money, status, and fear. Fear of being ignored, fear of being ordinary, fear of not being special. Lena stiffened. I'm not scared of anything. Jacob met her eyes. Then why do you act like you are? Lena pushed her chair back abruptly. I'm done for today. Jacob didn't stop her. We're scheduled for 2 hours. Well, I'm leaving, she snapped. As she stormed toward the door, Jacob said, Judge Rowan will receive updates. Leaving early will be part of the report. Lena stopped cold. Jacob continued calmly, and if Judge Rowan believes you're not participating, she has the power to escalate your consequences. Lena turned slowly. You mean jail? Jacob nodded. Yes. Lena's throat tightened. She reluctantly walked back to the table and sat down, arms crossed tightly. Jacob smiled softly. Good choice. Now, let's continue. The next hour dragged painfully. Jacob guided her through questions she didn't want to answer, introspection she didn't want to face, and exercises she refused to take seriously. He never raised his voice, never became frustrated. His calmness made her agitation worse. When the session finally ended, Lena practically bolted out the door, breathing hard, as though the emotional strain had exhausted her more than any physical exercise could. But the program didn't end with Jacob. After a short break, Lena was escorted to a group session held in a larger room with about a dozen young adults. Some sat stiffly, some slouched, some chatted with each other. They were nothing like Lena. She felt overdressed, out of place, and painfully exposed. The group facilitator, a kind woman named Elise, welcomed her warmly. "Lena, glad you're here. Today we're talking about accountability. Does anyone want to share what accountability means to them?" Lena mentally checked out, staring at the wall, but others spoke. A boy about her age said, "It means admitting when you screw up." A girl added, "It means not blaming everyone else all the time." A quiet young man said, "It means accepting that your choices affect people." Each word felt like a stone added to Lena's chest. Then Elise turned to her. "Lena, what does accountability mean to you?" Lena snapped back into focus. The eyes of the entire group rested on her. "I don't know," she muttered. Elise nodded. "That's okay. You'll figure it out." For the first time, no one threatened her. No one lectured her. No one rolled their eyes. They simply waited, and that waiting felt heavier than any scolding. The rest of the day followed a similar rhythm. Prompts she didn't want to answer, conversations she didn't want to have, reflections she didn't want to face. By the time her father arrived to pick her up, she felt drained, emotionally, mentally, and physically. She climbed into the car quietly. "How did it go?" her father asked. "Terrible," she whispered. He nodded. "Good." She glared at him. "How is that good?" "Growth is uncomfortable," he said simply. "If it were easy, you wouldn't need it." Lena stared out the window again. The city passed in blurs of color and noise. As they drove, she thought about Jacob's questions, about her friends, about Judge Rowan's expression when she looked at her, about the word accountability. For the first time, she wondered if maybe, just maybe, there was something inside her that needed changing, but that flicker of self-awareness was small, fragile, and fleeting. And the storm inside her had only just begun. The door to the courtroom opened again after a short recess, and everyone settled back into their seats. The air felt different now, thicker, heavier, as if everyone sensed that the final part of this ordeal was about to unfold. Even the bailiff, usually stone-faced, seemed more alert than before. Something significant was coming, and everyone could feel it. Lena walked back into the room quietly, the fire that once burned in her expression now replaced with something much humbler.